Hey everybody, welcome to this week's podcast, and it's the benefits of engaging that we're going to be sharing with you today. So we have a guest.
Yes, we're so excited. We have John Ameis, our first official guest on our OPT2LIV medical series.
Honored to have John Ameis on.
Glad to be here.
And yes, when we thought of this topic, benefits of engaging in your health, John definitely was the first patient and person that came to mind. We know John personally
You
as a
said John
friend,
had the gold
and
star,
yes,
if I recall.
and John got the gold star award. John was a participant in our OPT2LIV study about a year ago when we did an OPT2LIV medical study.
And we finished up, I think, in April or something.
And we'll be talking a little bit more about that. But honestly, John, you as a friend and as watching you as a patient are just such an inspiration to Eric and I both. And so we thought you were the perfect person to come on because we really want, we feel that you should be able to share your story so that you can inspire others. And we're hoping that that's what everyone can walk away with today.
Well, let's hope that happens.
Well,
Yes,
yeah.
it will.
And I think at the level of, body, mind, spirit, when we're talking about, you have inspired us across all of those. And definitely with your engagement into what we're getting into today, which is, how this breathe, eat, move stuff can positively impact you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how did we do this week, Amy, with our breathe, eat, move, sleep?
Well, let's think
John
back
there,
over
see
the
if he wants
past
to comment
week.
on how John has done.
Okay. As we've been talking about forever, we took our youngest
we
to
dropped
IU
Lucy off.
on
That could be stressful.
Wednesday, and so that was the beginning of this past week. So that took some breathing to just adjust to the emotions, the excitement, all of that. But then it was interesting. We had a very quiet house the weekend after.
We're doing half the laundry.
So for our breathe, I think we did have more time to breathe, to take some pauses, to do yoga together, even to take a walk with the dog. So I think that was
You always say trying to integrate it in a little bit every day. Something is what we have to do.
Now, eat was a bit of a challenge because honestly, up until last night, I was trying to get to the grocery, and then I thought I'm going to pre-order groceries.
You mean eating at Nick's at IU is not healthy?
We did eat at Nick's, and you ordered those fries that are so wonderful.
Really
so that was a challenge. But we did eat a lot of food from our garden. We have a garden. We have we've eaten a lot of cucumbers and zucchini this past week, trying to get rid of all of our
Whole Foods,
food from
organic.
the garden.
The move thing, we support each other in the move piece, right? It seems like whenever I'm ready to go and you're like, oh, maybe tomorrow, or vice versa, we help each other just do it.
Yes.
We've never regretted
Sure.
doing it after we do it, right? It's
Exactly.
just doing it.
Last night, I did not feel like we ate, and I was really tired. And we were going to walk the dog, and we sat down for a little bit, and then I was done. I was not going to keep exercising. And Eric, then we decided, let's walk the dog. We walked the dog, and then we came back, and you were so good. You were like, oh, I'm going to go down, and I'm going to do a little strength training and lifting and abs. And I was like, I should too. And honestly, I did feel so much better. So it's nice to have a team or a support person to help you. I don't know if you guys experienced the same thing, you or Sandy, or getting yourselves out there.
Yeah.
The sleep thing, I've been doing a lot better on, and you've pushed me into that. I used to not get as much sleep. But sleep for me is, I try to get at least that 7 to 8 every night.
Mm-hmm. So, overall,
not
I think
bad.
a decently
Did you do okay?
successful week.
And you know all this stuff. We know you know.
I do.
Gold star man.
Yeah. I've never been called that before, by the way. But actually, the thing that probably works, but two things that really work best for me since I got involved with this program is the eating, the colors. The colors have just fascinated me, and I take a picture of my morning breakfast once in a while and send it to my closest friends to show them what I'm eating. But I love breakfast more than any other one, and I usually eat at least five or six colors for breakfast.
Wow.
The other one that
wonderful.
I'm pretty consistent with is the exercise program that we laid out, which is kind of nice. The thing that I need to get back to, and I really miss the most, is the meditation. I used to do the 30-minute meditation more often, quite a bit more often than I'm doing now. So I really want to get back to that. And of course, at my age, getting up to go
It's
to the
just a wisdom
restroom
unit.
in the middle of the night kind of makes things. The sleep gets a little interrupted, but no, other than that. I have ups and downs, but basically it's pretty consistent actually. So.
Well, and I would say the breed. Now, of course, we're talking also about the spiritual side of that, and I don't know, not everybody knows, but John and I group once a week and kind of do a deep dive in a check-in on some of that stuff, and and you inspire me with that. And I think for both of us, I think it's been interesting because we've talked about how we've maybe kind of changed up how we are finding an integration with God on a daily basis. And so I think it's kind of interesting that both of us have kind of moved away from a very traditional, okay, I get up at 5:15 and I do my meditation for 40 minutes and I'm doing less of that, but it's forcing me to try to find it during the day. So, and I know you're doing kind of very similar things with how you're doing it, but I'm also longing to get back into the routine as well.
Actually, Eric, it's the spiritual part of my life that really drove me to be more interested in this program, because I want to live longer, I want to live healthier, I've got family, I've got things that I still want to do, and it's important for me to be as healthy as long as I can. I don't know how long I'm going to ride this wave.
120, baby. You're going to live to be 120. It's going to happen.
I hope you're right.
No, it's going to
our
happen.
goal.
120. 120.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we're doing kind of a little bit on that one. That's good. So let's get into, we want to talk just a little bit about the results. Is that
Our
where we're
OPT2LIV
going
study,
next?
because I think that was really the beginning of our really deep dive in, and you were one of our first, I think, clients even on the OPT2LIV study as well, and Eric can go into that in more detail.
Yeah.
But you've been a patient of mine for a while, and I know
Yes.
later we'll get into that and let you kind of give your whole history and story. But to really, this whole model of what we started, as we've mentioned, started with our coaching a couple years ago when we started our coaching program, and then we were just so blessed to have someone that wanted to actually fund a medical study.
Yeah.
So you can
The Foundation for Complex Healthcare Solutions, we're very grateful for the funding to do this study and to look at the OPT2LIV medical protocols and the modalities of care that we're giving other people. And it was to kind of compare that to just kind of what traditional medicine is maybe offering today. And so that was kind of a big piece of it. We ended up using the short form survey, 36 question that is a pretty standard, they call it an instrument. Actually, in the research industry, it's the Centers for Medicaid, Medicare Services, NIH uses it in a lot of their research. And so we use that same tool to look at where someone was from a quality of life perspective at the beginning and then at the end. And this ended up being about a 6-month process, and we met with the participants, I think, 10 times in a virtual session that lasted about 30 minutes. And it was really from the questionnaires, they met with you, Amy, and then you would put together a personalized plan. And then as a coach, then I would say, hey, let's try to get this into your life, right? And so after 10 of those sessions, that's where these results came from. And we had 80 participants in it. But it was interesting as we went through it, because if you think about it, the timing of this was when COVID was ramping
right at the
up.
beginning of the pandemic.
And so we had, we're going to see great benefits. Everybody's going to see that here in a second. But I want everybody to remember that we also had a pandemic. And it surprised me as I looked at it. Indiana across the nation isn't the best in health. And I'm going to highlight some of that stuff as well as I go through this.
Yes, we actually came up with the idea for the study and the proposal months, like at least 6 months before the pandemic even began. So this was all being implemented, and then boom, the pandemic hit.
So amidst all those things, all those moving pieces, we saw role functioning. This is the whole, all people in a 19% improvement in role functioning, and that's physical. So that would be things like using the vacuum cleaner, right? I mean, just anything in your day that you might lifting
your activities of
objects
daily
or
living
moving
that
around
you
the
want to
house
be
and
able
that kind
to
of
do.
stuff. So that was good. That was number one across everyone. And I just wanted to highlight in the state of Indiana where we rank. And
In general, our general
this is a general overall health
of Indiana.
And this was a study that was brought about by the United Health Foundation, and so they do this across the nation, and it's used to help policymakers and advocates and individuals better understand the population health across the different states. Social and economic, we were about 36%. So the best in the country would be 100%, and the worst in the country would be 0. Physical environment, we 46%, so we were almost halfway. Clinical care, we ranked 24% for available clinical care. That was effective, and it's decreasing. I was like, oh, that's not good. Behavioral was 28%, and it's decreasing. So
like
those last two,
behaviors.
so it's screaming. Indiana's screaming for this kind of stuff, right? And so we're excited to be able to offer that as much as possible to people. If we look at gender, so the results across the gender, the females had the biggest improvement, 24% improvement for role functioning physical. So they were the ones across the global that were kind of driving that, obviously. Male had the biggest improvement, 26% in pain. So I thought that was interesting. And in general health, the males had 20% improvement over general health in total. And then it gets into the age. Now this is interesting because it's what you would think, kind of. So you had the youngest saw the biggest improvement, right? Actually, the second place was the 60 to 69-year-old ages. The 50 to 59 was third, and fourth was the 70 to 79-year-old. But why I'm saying that is that, John, across all of our participants had the highest improvement. So, and your wisdom unit is in that last category somewhere. I'm not going to say exactly.
Yes.
It's somewhere in there. So
You're
the
so
point,
kind.
so the point is
Just a
that
number.
even though in the study that showed the smallest results, if you, and we'll get into this in a minute, do what you did in this study,
Engagement.
you're going to be you're going to have the biggest improvement over anyone in the study, and that was you. Amy calls it the gold star.
Poster child. Well, I do
Poster
want to
child.
also back up a little bit because before you keep going on, I know sometimes people think like, oh, 18% or 14% or 20% improvement. That's actually very statistically significant. If you look at something that gets a medication efficacy, meaning medicine gets approved to be used to treat blood pressure, or a pill gets used approval to be used to treat cholesterol or something for diabetes. Sometimes it's like a 10 or 12% improvement over placebo, where, if somebody took a sugar pill. So to get these numbers with lifestyle changes is pretty remarkable. Right. So, if I had a pill that did that, it would definitely be like top of the market. And so, and these were just the tip of the iceberg. Again, as you mentioned, this was in the midst of the most stressful year, I think, of all of our lives.
You think COVID was
exciting. Okay. I'd say. So it was exciting to us to see these and these results.
Thank you. That's a good point. So then this next one was looking at the quality of life. There's a couple in the short form survey, 36 questions, RAND instrument. It breaks it out into physical functioning, role functioning physical. I think you've heard me say this a couple times. Role functioning emotional, social functioning pain, and then the general health. And we saw some, I think it was the youngest population, a 40% improvement in pain. That's where we were seeing that number earlier. That's a big number. Role functioning, emotional, we saw, again, the youngest population, almost 33% improvement. And then the 60 to 69 in the role functioning physical, they almost saw a little over 30% improvement. So, I mean, it's kind of exciting when you think about what can happen to the quality of life of an individual if you engage, if you apply yourself. You got to apply yourself. And so that was kind of a high level of where the study has taken us. So,
And
to your
what we
point-
did, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
no,
but
go
what
ahead,
we
hon.
did is, again, this is back to those 4 pillars. Just to reiterate, the whole study was based on coaching someone through the 4 pillars and meeting them where they were, the breathe, eat, move, sleep, and then
Well, your
helping
personalized
move them
plan.
with their personalized plan, and then helping them move through these phases. We have phase 1, 2, and 3 in each, and meeting people where they are, using the personalized plan and some of these resources. So that's how these results came about. They were offered the same with every patient.
So then when we look at you, John, and how you, I know you met with Amy. She did the personalized plan. You and I met. And, you know, we've known each other since, I think we said,
07. something like
07
that. 14 years.
for our Curcio weekend. And so we've known each other for a while. And so, you know, to be able to say, hey, you know, here's what Amy wants you to do, and then you and I kind of thinking, how are we going to do it? What did you think of that first meeting? You're like, yeah, I can do this for sure.
Well, I think it really, I'd like to go back a little bit and say that Eric, as Eric had said, he and I and a couple of other guys meet weekly, and he had talked about this OPT2LIV program for several months. I don't remember exactly how many, and it kind of went in one ear and out the other. And then, you know, kind of like a lot of things that happen to you, you don't dig in, you don't ask a lot of questions, you don't ferret out the benefits, that kind of a thing. And then he came one day and said, we're doing this program where we're going to study the benefits of OPT2LIV. And he started telling me about it, so I raised my hand and volunteered to be in the
Very
program.
kind of you.
I think there are a couple things happened. One, I think COVID happening was a good thing for me because I had the time. I'm retired. All of a sudden, all of the things that I would normally do in a day or in a week were gone. So now I could focus on improvements, not just the program that you offered, but there was a number of other areas where I was really able to spend the time to make improvements. The thing that happened to me, and part of it probably is our friendship and our relationship, but I became motivated. And it fit into my goals for myself, the things that I want to be able to do personally with my family, in ministry, in socializing and things like that. I want to be healthy as long as I can. Now, my genetics may shorten that up. I don't know. But I want to do what I can. Mm-hmm. So I was motivated to give it my best shot. And the other thing that happened was I became disciplined about it. So motivated, disciplined. And I told Eric that I created this Excel worksheet and laid out everything that I needed.
It was awesome.
That I committed to.
Yeah.
I took my blood pressure every day, my blood sugar every day, my weight every day. And so it was having to log it in every day, how much water I drank and all that stuff. So it was really kind of a fun
You were
thing.
that mini scientist, right? We're like, hey, become a mini scientist. And you with that spreadsheet, I mean, I watched you just get immersed in your life.
Yeah. I sent you a copy of it every week.
Oh, I know. I loved it. Right?
I loved it too.
Yeah. So it was fun. And then, you know, the thing that I really appreciated is that both Eric and Amy have been willing to work with me. Because Sandy and I study health issues. She does more than I do. I learn more from her. But we're able to talk about it with the two of you, and you've custom designed some videos for me with respect to yoga and breathing and that type of stretching exercises. And now you've got another video for me with respect to learning specific yoga moves. So you've supported me in a way that nobody really has. And really, I'd like to go back to a little bit deeper into history and say that when Eric and I first became friends, and he was telling me about his Amy as a doctor, I started telling him about how unhappy I was with my current doctor, my GP. And so he picks up the phone. This is on a Friday, and he calls the office. He says, "When has Amy got a next opening?" So he said, "Hey, Monday at 9 o'clock, put John Ameis down for a meeting." Well, I went in to see Amy that morning, and she spent an hour with me. And I had a lot of questions for her about what kind of doctor she was and what kind of a relationship that we would have. And so when we were finished, she said, "Well, how did I stack up?" And I said, "Hey, sign me up. I'm ready. This is really what I'm looking for in a relationship with a doctor." And now I get the added bonus of Eric, who is not only a friend, but he's capable of keeping me excited and providing me with the tools that I need to accomplish our goals. So
it's been a joy.
I mean,
we've absolutely loved having you on board.
Exactly.
And I think to see the potential, right, that someone can have in doing what you said, and there was a couple words there, discipline, right? And I think also your engagement in it were some key words that you have to have some kind of push that helps you through a change, and that isn't always easy for people. It's hard for most of us to do it on our own, which is why I think this model, the OPT2LIV medical model, that integrates into it this coaching component is so important.
I think the practical side of it, too, for me, was the results. During the 5 or 6 months that we did this, I lost 20 pounds. My blood sugar numbers went down strongly. My cholesterol numbers went down 40, 45 points, give or take. That may not be exact, but they went down a lot. My triglycerides were cut in half. So all of the numbers that were big for me, I had significant changes in them. I think you were surprised.
I was pleasantly surprised, yes.
And I know what you're going to argue is it's not just one thing. It's not, hey, I've been going to the gym, for an hour every day. It's the 4. It's doing the 4
and staying
that makes it
consistent
work.
with it.
Right. Right.
Disciplined,
and
engaged.
Without going into, you don't need to share your personal medical conditions and all of that, but I do feel that, I don't know if you could maybe talk to this. It's easy for patients to get to a point where you're like, well, it's too late, or I already have this condition, and I'm on this medicine, or I'm at this age, and just kind of accepting a fate maybe, or feeling that I really don't have any, I can't make any changes. It's just kind of my genetics or my circumstances or my age. I don't know. Were you in that mindset before any of this, do you think?
I read
or
a
no?
book, I don't know how long ago, let's say 10 years ago, about aging and taking care of yourself. I always knew that in order to age properly, my core muscles had to be good. There were certain things that you had to do. And the thing that struck me is that the guy who wrote the book said that even if you're in your 90s, light weight training can be of benefit to you. Yeah. And that stuck in my head. So it's never too late to start doing something. Right. Now, you have limitations, of course, on how much you can do. But I tried to start with, let's say, 10 reps. Well, now I'm up to 20. But it took several years to get to 20. Right. So don't be in a hurry. Just take your time and move up the ladder. And so No, I agree. And then if you really, I think a lot of it has to do with your head. What do you want?
That is
Because
so powerful.
if you don't want it, it's not going to happen.
Well, I think the one thing I have
Believe it.
said to people, there's only one requirement. The prerequisite to get into OPT2LIV Medical is you have to want it. We don't push a rope, right? I mean, we've got a ton of knowledge that we can share with people. But at some point, you have to be the one to say, yeah, I'm ready for that change.
Right.
And if you don't, then, I mean, I've actually told some people, unless you really want to do it, then you're wasting your time, and that's not what we want to be doing for you. So, yeah, that's great.
Yeah. The other thing I would mention, because I like to give you a plug. My daughter and her family and Sandy and I can't imagine having our lives without you as our doctor.
Thank you so much.
And so
Yeah, that means a lot.
It does.
it really does. And all of the people, and I recommended a number of people to come to your practice, not one of them is disappointed.
Oh.
Not one.
Well, it is, like you said, it's a relationship. I look at health, this health journey is a relationship between the doctor patient. And I think that's why I even was so excited to change, to make a change and to do something like this OPT2LIV Medical, because I can get back to the root of the doctor-patient relationship and kind of let go of some of the other things that we were so busy spending our days doing that weren't even clinical, that weren't even about taking care of people. And so it's a joy, and it's a privilege and honor that you and your family, I guess, even entrust your health in my hands.
We do.
So thank you.
I think another thing too, I mean, you've said this a lot, which is this is what primary care should look like. And I think a lot of doctors, let's say family medicine doctors, when they get out, I think this is what they imagined. But a lot of times things are driven by there's a lot of moving parts in medicine, right? We have insurance, requirements, we have health system requirements, right? There's a lot of things that, which is another reason why we were so excited to do this on our own, to kind of, Amy's her own boss, and I work for her now. So,
As it should be.
and it should be that way. So, well, we appreciate you coming on board with us today and sharing your story. It's definitely impacting. You've impacted our lives, and we're grateful for you. And I know that you share this with so many. You do so many great things in the area of service, as I've known you over the years, which is just so. It's rewarding for me to see, and what a great example. So we're grateful for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on board. So this concludes our podcast. We're grateful to have you guys a part of this. If you have any questions or you have other podcasts that you want us to do, leave a little note below, and we'll do our best to get it on board. We're wishing you a wonderful day. Take care.